Thanks for joining me on episode 850 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Stephanie Scheller. I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and create your greatest impact on the world by using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Grow yourself, be inspired, listen to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with Scott Mader.
Because they've changed what their definition of success is. Their success is no longer about beating someone else. It's simply about achieving what's important to them. And that shift in that mindset allows you to grow and have more success because now you begin to focus in on those things that really are important to you. And you begin to make progress in those things.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world.
In today's episode about developing your influence through stewarding your treasures, I talk with you about why money isn't a zero-sum game. I share how you can focus on what others have and do, or you can focus on yourself. And I also share how recognizing this will allow you to grow. As we talk about stewarding your treasures, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without costing yourself an extra dime? Turns out you can. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show. If you enjoy the show when you're ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon. One of those things that I see people post about all the time is how they themselves are angry or mad or frustrated with people that are doing better than them. Whether it's around money, whether it's around other things, they see people that are succeeding and they get angry, they get jealous, they get frustrated with that success. And what's interesting is a lot of times coming out of this is this sort of fundamental assumption that when it comes to finances, it's a zero-sum game, meaning if somebody else gets more money, it means by definition there's less money available and therefore I'm going to get less money. That somehow or another, someone else doing well automatically lowers your ability to do well. It steals from you. It takes money out of your pocket. And that's fundamentally false. Money is not a zero-sum game. The truth is someone else can be doing quite well, and that doesn't mean that you cannot succeed as well. I've seen it time and time again when people stop focusing on what other people are doing and begin to focus on themselves. And when they begin to focus not on their past, but on their future and figure out where they're going and look at what they're doing today and how it's working for them and begin to make shifts and changes in what they're doing so that they begin to do something new, then all of a sudden things come along. And when I say success here too, it doesn't necessarily mean they suddenly are worth millions and millions of dollars and all of their money woes are over because, by the way, even if you're making millions and millions of dollars, your money woes will not just disappear. I've seen people that make huge amounts of money that are still having to make money decisions. There is no real way you can earn yourself out of that problem. Instead, when they begin to focus on what is success really for them, what's important to them, and they begin to say no to lots of things so that they can say yes to a few very important things, then all of a sudden things begin to get better. Not necessarily just because they make more money, though often that does come along with it, but because the money they do make begins to do the things that are actually important to them. They begin to spend and use the money in a way that makes more sense. And because of that, they begin to feel more successful. They begin to feel like they're making more progress. They begin to step out and succeed because they've changed what their definition of success is. Their success is no longer about beating someone else. It's simply about achieving what's important to them. And that shift in that mindset allows you to grow and have more success, because now you begin to focus in on those things that really are important to you. And you begin to make progress in those things quicker. And as you make quicker progress, you feel more success. And as you feel more success, you speed up even more. It becomes a positive feedback loop. And the fundamental step is to recognize, number one, comparing yourself to others and trying to beat their success is automatically a losing game. And number two, that when you recognize that money and success is not a zero-sum game, that someone else can succeed and so can you, then all of a sudden it becomes easier to focus on your own success and really get what's most important to you first and foremost, and give up those things that you actually don't care about anyway. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of treasures, you can sign up for our treasures tips by going to inspiredstewardship.com/treasures or text in the U.S. 44222 treasures tips. And we'll send you 5 weeks of our best tips on stewarding your treasures. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.